የኔናት በጣም አመሰግናለሁ እንዴት አገኙት የዛሬን ሰርቪስ
ምንም በቃል ላስረዳም በማልችለው አይነት ነው እንዲህ አይነት ክብር እንኳን የሞቱት በዛሬ 83 አመት እኔ ራሴ እንዲህ አይነት ክብር አገኛለሁ ብዬ በህይወቴም አስቤው አላውቅም
ትንሽ ስለ አፄ ኃይለ ሥላሴ እናውቃለን ግን ስለ እርሶ አያት ትንሽ እንደው ባጭሩ ቢነግሩኝ ማን እንደነበሩ ከ29 በላይ መጽሐፍ አትመዋል አገራችንን ትልቁ ማማ ላይ አድርሰዋል እርሶ እንደውም ከአፄ ምኒልክ ታቦት ጋር የሚገናኝ እንትኖ አለውትና እንደው ትንሽ ከሪያፍ ከሚሆን ከርሶ
አቴ ክቡር ብላቴንጌታ ህሩይ በጣም ከዝቅተኛ ቤተሰብ የተወለዱ ናቸው አባታቸውም ወስደው ደብረ ሊባኖስ እዛ እንዲማሩላቸው ይዘዋቸው ሄዱ እዛ ተማሩ አደራ ተብለው በጣም ጎበዝ ተማሪ ስለነበሩ ህሩይ ተብለው ስማቸው እንዲጠራ ተነገረ ለወጡት ምክንያቱም ህሩይ ማለት ምርጥ ማለት ነው ከዛም ቀስ እያሉ እሱንም ከደብረ ሊባኖስ ወጥተው የዛን ትምህርት ቤት ጨርሰው ወደ አዲስ አበባ መጡ አዲስ አበባም እዛ እየተማሩ እያስተማሩ ስዊዲሽ ሚሽን ተቀጥረው ደግሞ ለትንሽ ጊዜ እንግሊዝኛ እዛው እየተቀጠሩ እየሰሩ ለትንሽ ጊዜ እንግሊዝኛም ተማሩ ከዛም ቀስ ብለው ወደ አፄ ምኒልክ ቤተ መንግስት ገቡ ያም ሉራስ መኮንን ወደ እንግሊዝ ሀገር መምጣት ስለነበረባቸው አስተርጓሚ ያስፈልጋል ተብሎ እሳቸው ናቸው አቂ ተብሎ አብረው መጡ ከዛ በኋላ የሚያቆማቸው አጡ እስከ መጨረሻው
ጃፓን ድረስ
የመጀመሪያው ጃፓን አምባሳደር ተብለው ከኢትዮጵያ አፄ ኃይለ ሥላሴ ቤተ መንግስት ጃፓኑ ንጉሠ ነገሥት ቤተ መንግስት ሄደው በመርከብ ነው ሄዱት የታላቅ ክብር በየሄዱበት በትልቅ ክብር የተከበሩ ሰው ነበሩ እዚህም መጡ 5 አመትም አልቆዩ ሞቱ እሳቸው ስደትም የሄደው በረሃም የገባው ሳይሞት እሳቸው ብቻ ለሀገራቸው አፈር ሳይቀጡ እሱ ያሳዝነኛል በጣም ያሳዝነኛል ለአያቴ ለሴቷ አያቴ ደግሞ በጣም አዝንላታለሁ ለወይዘሮ ሐመረሸቴ ባለቤታቸው ልጇ በግራዚያኒ አቶ ፈቃደ ስላሴ ተገደለ እሳቸው እዚህ ሞቱ ሁለቱንም ሳትቀብር ቀረች እሷም ራሷ እስረኛ ሆና አዚናራ ሄደች ለብቻዋ ደግሞ 6 ወር ሙሉ ከሰው ሳትቀላቀል ሌላ አንድ ደሴት ላይ አሰሯት እና ሁሉ ጊዜ አያቴ ይሰማኛል ከሁሉም የሴት አያቴ ይሰማኛል ቁም ስቃይ ነበር ያየችው ሁሉም ያወደበት ሆኗል እግዚአብሔር በዚህ አድርሶናል
እግዚአብሔር ይመስገን ለሰጡኝ ጊዜ በጣም አመሰግናለሁ መልካም አዲስ አመት የኔናት እንደው መናገር የሚፈልጉት ነገር ካለ
አይ ስለ አንደኛው አያቴ ደግሞ መምሬ ካሳሁን እሳቸው ደግሞ ትልቅ ካህን ነበሩ መምህር ካሳሁን የጊዮርጊስ ሲሰራ ከአፄ ምኒልክ ጋር ድንጋይ ተሸክመው ነው የሰሩት ከዛም አድዋ ድረስ ታቦት ይዘው በእግራቸው ሄደዋል አመሰግናለሁ
እግዚአብሔር ይስጥልኝ የኔናት Right, how did you manage to organize this?
I mean, yeah, it's a good question. Because when you look back on it, I think, how did I manage to organise this? I mean, I have to say, you know, I came up with the idea, but I didn't do it alone. Do you know what I mean? So I have an amazing team. Jennifer Surratt, who's just there on the phone. I would drag her over if she wasn't on the phone. You know, she has been amazing contacting people, and, you know, you don't do anything alone. Do you know what I mean? But for me, you know, I always wanted to establish a much stronger relationship with the Ethiopian Orthodox Church and the city of Bath and Fairfield House. Do you know what I mean? That's been an ambition of mine for a long time. But sometimes, you know what I mean, like certain ideas have a moment when they arrive. Do you know what I mean? So the fact that, you know, I'm running the festival, the Freedom of the City Festival Learning with Jennifer, and we had the resources, we had the, you know, things just aligned. And I've had a previous connection with Emeyou Teklemariam. She's the granddaughter of Blatten-Geta Herouy, and I worked with her and the family to get the grave restored. So that was back in 2018. So I just thought now's the perfect opportunity to do something to get that in the public consciousness. You know, it's the anniversary. So his grave is still in Bath, but the body was took back to Ethiopia. But in 1947. But the grave is beautiful. It's got Amharic writing on it, and it's, you know, when you see it, it's just stunning. So, and it's the anniversary of his death tomorrow. So with this service, basically, like, you know, Reverend Michael Hundessa, he specifically crafted this service with Blattengeta Heruy in mind, and, you know, Emeyou said that she's never heard that a service done in that way before, and she's just overwhelmed. Do you know what I mean? So for me, that's just...
She was well touched.
Yeah.
She really appreciated it. I mean, as an Ethiopian in exile, I appreciate what you're doing. We failed to do that. Here you go. You're fighting day and night, and we do appreciate
the
that.
shame is I got to be open with, because I've never been to Ethiopia. I've always wanted to, and I've never had the opportunity, and I need to get there.
Prince Michael is waiting for you there.
Right, yeah. I need to get there. It's to my shame.
Yes.
It's to my shame. But no, just really beautiful, because, you know, I mean, in terms of the nuts and bolts of how we did this, so over a year ago I contacted Guy Bridgewater. He's the rector of Bath Abbey, and basically anything that happens here, he has to give the go-ahead. So I approached him, like I say, over a year ago, and he, you know, respect due to him, he saw the vision, he thought, no, that could work, you know, and now it's the reality. Obviously you suddenly realise that ideas have nuts and bolts, logistics and health and safety and COVID and all, you know, all the rest of it.
It's glorious.
But it's glorious.
It's very, very ancient, and the structure is
exactly
as equivalent as Westminster Abbey.
Yeah, it's amazing. So I'm just really humbled that Bath Abbey, you know, extended their arm of union for this, but also the Ethiopian Orthodox Church and Reverend Michael Hundessa, because it wouldn't have happened without them, you know. So anyone could come up with an idea, but it takes other people to make it a reality, really. So
we appreciate somehow it's their duty, but remembering a very historical figure who contributes so much.
Absolutely.
And in this time of age, mentioning his name, doing a prayer, it's
yeah, I mean, that's the other thing, because, you know, for this history, we know the name Haile Selassie for good reason, Empress Mananassor for good reason, but again, he wasn't an island. He had people around him, like Ras Kassa, you know. He had other people around him. So Blattengeta Heruy Selassie, you know, the grave is in Bath, and I just started to look into his history, how he was an eminent scholar, wrote over 28 books, he was a lecturer, you know, historian, and His Majesty was, you know, he was just so overwhelmed with gratitude and grief when he died. So I just thought, if His Majesty had that reaction, then I need to know more about that individual. Do you know what I mean? And he deserves to be remembered as well.
A lineup with...
Yeah, Prince Asawusan Nasarete.
When is that?
So that's on Monday evening, Monday coming up. So yeah, we're going to be in conversation, kind of talking about his life and work.
You don't mind if we stream that?
Yeah, no, that'd be great. That'd be great. So I look forward to that.
Listen, I appreciate your time, your effort. May the glory of God pay you.
No, give thanks.
Yes.
I'm just humbled.
The emperor would be laughing.
Wow.
I'm telling you, you're a star. Thank you very much. You've literally, you're my role model, because you're really working hard. I contribute as much, but, you know, you're the one who's leading with the big beacon, and I appreciate that.
No, thank you. I mean, you know, we all have, there's like cogs in the machine, and everyone has a little role to play no matter what it is. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, so I'm just grateful. So thank you.
Welcome at December.
No, blessed love. Salam.
Thank you. Bye.
ናስትልኝ እኔ ወንድም ክፍሌ ደረጀ እባላለሁ።
እንዴት ነበር ዛሬ?
በጣም የሚገርም ስነ ስርዓት ነው። በጣም የሚያስደስት፣ ሁላችንም በጣም ደስ ብሎናል። ያዘጋጁትን ሁሉ ማመስገን አለብን። ብላቴን ጌታ ሄሩይም ይሄም ሲያንሳቸው ነው። የኢትዮጵያ ባለውለታ ናቸው። እንደዚህ አልፎ አልፎ ማስታወስ አለብን። አዲሱ ትውልድ እንደው ባይረሳቸው ጥሩ ነበር። እሳቸውም ሌሎችም አሉ ብዙ አባቶቻችን አያቶቻችን ለሀገራችን የደከሙ የሞቱ የተሰደዱ የተሰቃዩ አገሪቷ እንዲሁ እግዚአብሔር እንደፈጠራት አልጠበቀችንም በብዙ መስዋዕትነት ነው እና ይሄ በጣም የሚያስደስት ምሽት ነበረ። የኔ ወንድም አመሰግናለሁ።
Pardon?
Can you rate how it went?
Well, I think it was an extraordinary service. I don't think Bath Abbey has ever seen anything like it in its sort of 500 years of existence. And for me, because I know Addis well, I was sort of transported as I heard some of the priests singing. I thought I was in Addis for a while, and I thought, no, I'm in Bath, in my home city.
Yeah, I think you should.
And I thought what was extraordinary was the song and the prayer for the departed at the end, which I understand was specially written for Blatten-Geta Herouy, which was an extraordinary, moving song and tribute, and it built in crescendo, and it was very moving. And then Emeyou at the end came and said her gratitude. So I thought the last few minutes of the service especially were extremely moving, and I'm so glad to be able to come. And it's great that someone like that has been recognised in the UK, in Bath, where he died. So,
And you made a great contribution through your books as well. How is the sale of that book?
oh, it ticks along, yes. There's always an interest in it, and which I'm very glad, because that's one of the things I wanted to do, was to lift a bit of a lid on the time in exile here, because sometimes it's ignored a bit or it's not deemed to be very important. But it was very important both for the emperor himself and, of course, some of his advisors and some of the relatives now, and those links that were established, especially between Bath and Ethiopia and the emperor's retinue, I think is fantastic.
Great. And it's been about 6 years since you published the book. It's on my record.
You've got a very good memory. I think it's actually 5 years, but you were pretty good.
2016 was it?
Yeah,
Yes.
and it reminded me. I think in 2016 we had an event at the Bath Spa Hotel where the Emperor first came when he came to Bath, and that was commemorating 80 years, the 80th anniversary of the Emperor coming to Bath. And now we've had another big anniversary. In a sense, tomorrow is the 83rd anniversary of Heruy's death. So I'm glad that, as well as the Emperor, the Foreign Minister was also recognised, because it's a tribute, obviously, also to Ethiopia as well as, you know, it's a commemoration of Ethiopianness, if you like, as well as individuals. So I think it's very important, and of course Bath Abbey is a big centre of faith and of heritage in Bath, so this was a really big event and a special event.
It's a landmark, I take it, but it's as big as Westminster Abbey.
Well, it's not quite, but it's along those lines. Yeah, no, it's a very important and a special place, and of course a centre of Christian worship for hundreds of years here. And one of the things I think is always very special is that the first king of all England was crowned here more than 1,000 years ago.
Not only the Romans who were roaming here.
No, it wasn't always the Romans that were roaming here. Then of course, all that time later, the Emperor of Ethiopia comes here. So there's that link there. So, yeah, it's been a very special evening, and fantastic to see many people in traditional dress and see so many. I wasn't expecting so many priests either. I thought there'd be one or two, but
I was shocked as well.
Yeah.
I didn't know that they were going to be here. I'm blessed.
So, and a big turnout, and so I think that's it's been a wonderful event, and it's part of this fantastic
few months that Sean and others have been organising this festival of remembering both the Emperor's contribution here, but also the links between Ethiopia and Britain. So it's been, I feel honoured to have been here.
So is there anything on the pipeline from your end?
I keep thinking about one or two things. Actually, the other day, I don't know whether you know about this, someone sent me, the Emperor wrote part of his autobiography here while he was in Bath, and it was published many years later in the 1960s and 70s, I think.
The one which was in Amharic, isn't it?
It was, yes, yeah. But I don't know whether you know this, but in the 60s, a British journalist, a man went to work on the British section of the autobiography, and the Emperor sent him some sort of thoughts and notes, and he wrote some sections about the British political scene and his interaction when he first arrived with some of the Prime Minister and the Cabinet, and then preparations for the speech in Geneva. It was never published, although Richard Pankhurst several years ago did manage to get hold of these papers and publish them. So there's always something new, there's always something interesting to see.
Are you still walking as well? I mean, I know you met one of the organizers whilst walking in Bath. Countryside walking, it was, I think.
Walking?
Walking, yeah.
Yeah, I still do the walking. We still do guided tours, and I still do sometimes a guided tour about the Emperor's Bath, yeah. So, so we try to keep the flag flying.
Good. So are you intending to go to Ethiopia?
Well, I was hoping to, but of course it's still on the red list.
Oh yes, it is.
I was hoping they were going to take it off on Thursday, yeah? Unfortunately, Kenya has come off, but not Ethiopia, so... Kenya can go to Kenya now without quarantining on the way back. Yeah, so that's open. So hopefully maybe after Christmas in Ayelen.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to see you. But I was good to see you. I will. Thank you. ናለው ለሰጠኝ ጊዜ እንዴት አገኘው የዛሬ እንግዲህ
እጅግ በጣም ደስ የሚል ጊዜ ነው ያሳለፍነው። በእውነቱ በዚህ ደረጃ አልጠበቅኩትም ነበር። እኔ ለረጅም ጊዜ ቀዳማዊ ኃይለ ሥላሴ ንጉሠ ነገሥት በስደቱ ዓለም በጣሊያን ወረራ ጊዜ ለሊግ ኦፍ ኔሽን አቤቱታ ለማሰማት የመጡበትን በማስታወስና የኖሩበትን ቤት ለመጎብኘት ነበር የመጣሁት። በዚህ አጋጣሚ ታላቁ ሊቅ ብላቴንጌታ ሄሩይ ወልደ ሥላሴ ያረፉበት ቀን በመሆኑ በመታሰቢያነትና በዚህ ዕለት በመገኘቴ እጅግ በጣም ደስ ብሎኛል። በጣም ማመሰግናለሁ።
በጣም አመሰግናለሁ። እንዴት ነው ካህናቶቹ የሚገባውን ስርዓት ያደርጉ ይመስላል?
ካህናቱ በተቻለ መጠን የተቻላቸውን አገልግሎት ሰጥተዋል። ኦፍ ኮርስ በጣም የሚደነቅ ነው። ወደፊት ግን በበለጠ እየተጠናከረ መሄድ አለበት ብዬ አምናለሁ። ለዛሬው ግን በቂ በሚባል ደረጃ የተቻላቸውን አገልግሎት ሰጥተዋል።
እንዴት አገኘው ካቴድራሉ?
ካቴድራሉ እጅግ በጣም የተዋበ ነው። በእውነቱ በሮማን ዘመን የተገነባና ረጅም ጊዜ ያስቆጠረ ይመስላል። በጣም የተዋበ ዲዛይን ያለው ነው። እጅግ በጣም ጥሩ ነው። ባዝም ጥንታዊ ከተማ እንደሆነ ብዙ መገለጫዎችን አይቻለሁ። ጥንታዊ ቅርጻ ቅርጾችና ጥንታዊነት ያላቸው ቤቶችን አይቻለሁ። ኢንፋክት ባዝ ከሞላ ጎደል የመሬቱ አቀማመጥም ከኢትዮጵያ ጋር ይመሳሰላል። ምናልባት ንጉሠ ነገሥቱም የቦታውን አቀማመጥ አይተው ይህን ቦታ ለመኖሪያነት እንደመረጡት ይሰማኛል እና እጅግ በጣም ጥሩ ነው። ዋናው ትልቁ ነገር ዛሬ መታሰቢያ የተደረገላቸው ብላቴንጌታ ሄሩይ ወልደ ሥላሴ በሀገራችን በ1870 ዓመተ ምህረት የተወለዱ ናቸው። ዘመናዊ መንፈሳዊና ልዩ ልዩ ቋንቋዎችን አጣምረው የሚያውቁና ለሀገራቸው ከፍተኛ ስራ የሰሩ በውጭ ጉዳይ ሚኒስቴርነት ሁሉ እንዲሁም በልዩ ልዩ ሀገሮች እየተላኩ ብዙ ስራዎችን ሰሩ።
ጃፓን ድረስ ዘልቀዋል።
ወደ ጃፓን በ1922 ወደ ጃፓን ተልከው የጃፓን ንጉሳዊ መንግስት አስተዳደርን ወደ ሀገራቸው ለማስገባትና ከኢትዮጵያ ጋር የተጣመረ ጥሩ የሆነ ጃፓናዊ ስልጣኔ እንዲሆን ጥረት አድርገው ነበር። ዙሮ ግን በዚሁ በስደት እንዳሉ በጠና ታመው አርፈው ነበረ። በዚሁ የተቀበሩ ቢሆንም ከጊዜ በኋላ ግን ቀዳማዊ ኃይለ ሥላሴ በ1947
በፈረንጆቹ
ወደ አስክሬናቸው ወደ ሀገራቸው ወስደዋል እና ብላቴንጌታ ሄሩይ ወልደ ሥላሴ እጅግ ስልጣኔ ቀድሞ የገባቸውና ወደ ሀገራቸው ስልጣኔን ለማግባት ከፍተኛ ጥረት ያደርጉ የነበሩ ቀደምት ሊቃውንት መካከል ተጠቃሽ ናቸውና ለቀዳማዊ ኃይለ ሥላሴም የቅርብ አማካሪ ናቸው። እጅግ በጣም ጥሩ
ታማኝ አገልጋይ ናቸው።
ታማኝ አገልጋይ ነበሩ።
ነፍሳቸውን በገነት ያኑረው።
ነፍሳቸውን በገነት ያኑርልን። ዛሬ ለተደረገላቸው መታሰቢያ በእውነቱ ለአካባቢው ሕዝብም በዚህ ቦታም ለተገኙ ሰዎች በሙሉ ምስጋና ከፍ ያለ ነው።
በጣም አመሰግናለሁ። እየተሻኮልን ነው።
time.